we're going to talk about NXT Japan now, because this is something that, on the face of it, has been moderately under the radar, but it does have some really serious potential connotations. The WWE have formally shut down their NXT Japan arm, despite the fact they really didn't formally announce it with any sort of gravitas. They had hoped to be able to quietly call the whole thing, but it was picked up by the media, and while it still passed relatively unnoticed, there are a lot of questions that are coming out of this. Most notably, what on earth are the WWE going to do with Kairi Sane, whose contract is technically with NXT Japan? Is she going to be released? Is she returning to wrestling? What gives there? In addition, when the hell did WWE set up NXT Japan? And why was the only report stating that 1, they set up an NXT Japan, 2, it would have been active if not for COVID, and 3, Kairi Sane actually signed a contract with them? Why is the only report actually covering all of this on the Tom Colohue YouTube channel last July? For those that aren't aware and didn't watch my video on the subject, the WWE set up NXT Japan with the intention of launching in Asian markets, much as NXT UK essentially covers the majority of Europe rather than just the UK. Their shows are continental apart from the idea of NXT India, which is a subcontinent. If not for COVID, NXT Japan would have been launched early last year. All of the infrastructure was seemingly in place, and Triple H's global expansion... Pardon me. Sorry guys, I keep drinking fizzy drinks, I need to stop. All of the infrastructure was seemingly in place, and Triple H's global expansion team was leading the charge. Why didn't this happen? Well, it's literally down to COVID. The WWE had been actively making the required signings for NXT, or at least approaching people with a view to signing contracts to move there when they could launch. That, unfortunately, was scrapped when the lockdown started, because it left so many people with contracts being offered, but they couldn't do anything. They couldn't get involved. Kairi Sane, who had apparently wanted to leave the company, was convinced to stay on in a non-wrestling role as an ambassador to NXT Japan. As part of her contract, she was prohibited from wrestling with any other company than the WWE, but another part of her role was to aid in recruitment and development of wrestling talent. I can't say whether she can be considered a success or a failure, and neither can the WWE. COVID literally put an end to the whole thing. She didn't have a chance to actually do the job that she was hired to do. So, honestly, the fact that we have seen NXT Japan closed suggests to me the involvement of Nick Khan, and suggests to me something that I've been wondering about for a while. If she's unable to do the job, why is everybody else being released, but Kairi Sane is still under contract? The WWE sat on this for a long time, waiting for the pandemic to clear, hoping that they could then launch it. This is a sign of the company conceding defeat. Something that Vince McMahon is never keen on doing. It is also a sign that with changes coming to NXT, Nick Khan is continuing to rein in spending. Even just getting rid of a small amount of technical team members for the infrastructure of NXT Japan, it's not a big saving, but it's apparently a saving he thought was worth it. NXT Japan never made any money. It never really did anything. NXT UK basically only survives because nobody gets paid a decent wage down there. The plans were to compete with New Japan by appealing to fans of Western TV in the Asian continent. The show would be pitched to a Japanese audience, but would be a very American presentation, something very different to the insane Britishness of NXT Japan. With this no longer being considered, the WWE will move out of Japan quietly and focus their efforts on more lucrative markets such as India, where the WWE continue to generate significant profits. They may also take any wrestlers that they may have signed and move them onto 205 Live, which desperately needs wrestlers. And if you'd forgotten about the situation in the 205 Live, that's okay. So did Vince McMahon and the entire WWE. They've been forgetting a lot recently, including Adam Cole's contract. The one leftover question, of course, is as regards Kairi Sane. Sane is apparently still employed by the WWE, but has ultimately been able to do nothing in her role as ambassador. This is through no fault of her own. nobody has had the option to do anything. She will not be maintaining her role as the ambassador because there's nothing to be an ambassador for, and there is not believed to be any interest on either side in seeing Kairi Sane return to wrestling with the WWE. I would love to see Kairi return. In a world of Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair and Dakota Kai, Kairi Sane can deliver hard and have fantastic, amazing matches. Unfortunately, smaller wrestlers, regardless of gender, are the exception rather than the rule in Vince McMahon's WWE. I don't think we're going to see Kairi Sane in the WWE again. I hate myself a little bit when I say stuff like that, but it is true. Yes, Power, apparently NXT Japan existed. They kept that one quiet, didn't they? Literally, the only report I'm aware of that mentions it is my report on Kairi Sane from last year on YouTube. Literally the only one that I'm aware of. And I'm not sat here trying to blow a trumpet. I'm not aware of anyone else reporting the existence of NXT Japan. Not at all. Para says, I know there was meant to be an NXT Global Domination thing at one point, but nothing came of it. The plan was to start branching out, but then COVID, unfortunately. Buzzy says that makes a dent in Triple H's plan to globally expand NXT. Yes, it does. NXT in general is being reined in. And that's one of the changes we're definitely seeing already. Para says, eyes bigger than their profits. Well, those profits are pretty damn big, to be honest. Those profits are pretty damn big. Wiggly says, Kairi Sane is back. No, she is not. In fact, they've shut down NXT Japan, so Kairi Sane probably gone for good. Probably. Lance says, Kairi 1000% will have a job with Stardom the second her contract status allows. I would imagine she's fielding a couple of offers right now. Or at least I hope she'll be fielding a couple of offers right now. I don't know if the contract has ended. I just think with no NXT Japan to be an ambassador for, it's gonna. And Wiggly says, I wish Kairi was back. Me too. I think she's a fantastic wrestler. I just don't necessarily think she's going to rock back up in WWE. We'll see. We'll definitely see.